You are listening to the Push Media Podcast Network.
This is good shit.
I know I laced it with blood.
Hey, cuz, I'm gonna say this thing one time, and you're gonna hear it. You keep running your fucking mouth, talking all that shit. I'm gonna say this one time. We can go out back, and you can codify my yes. You keep threatening my reproductive rights. Me and the boys, we're gonna come through, and you're gonna have to codify all of our asses. His ass, my ass, tough guy, talking all that shit just because you think you're fancy in your black Harry Potter robe, talking all judgy this and judging that, and overruled my ass. Overruled Tony's ass, Nick's ass, Johnny Dot's ass, codify all they asses. The only judge I respect, the only judge who knows what's what, the only judge who's really screwed in, cuz, is Judge Judy, because that broad is on without fail at 6 p.m. every day. And I'll tell you something else, cuz, that broad Judge Judy, she doesn't even wear a black fucking Harry Potter robe. So next time you threaten our abortions and I don't read things thoroughly, you're gonna have to come down and codify my ass. That was a character piece entitled, All You Idiots Who Don't Read Things Thoroughly. And this isn't just me offering my opinion because, you know, that is what a podcast is. And what's dangerous about that is a lot of my opinions are very transient, if you will. A lot of my opinions come from Eastern Germany, just Eastern Europe in general. A lot of my opinions are very nomadic and come of a gypsy origin, meaning that a lot of my opinions are Fleetwood Mac. They come and go. I don't hold or maintain them. You know why? A lot of that is a joke, because it keeps things interesting. Reality is a suggestion. Why not say the thing that most people don't want to hear, just so you personally can shake things up and see what happens when someone realizes everything is not going according to plan? Because your plan, cuz, can go throw itself off the Verrazano Bridge, or I'm going to have to come see you in a different way. I've really fallen into like an obsession recently with speaking like I'm from Staten Island and threatening people coincidentally in a gay way without the character being aware of it. All right, tough guy, you keep talking your fucking mouth, you're gonna have to come teach me a lesson, huh? That dude doesn't even realize what he just said because he is not picking up on context. He's not reading the room, or more importantly, reading the words on the page. Because the words on the page, I'm of course referring to the leak of the Justice Alito's opinion on Roe v. Wade, which has a lot of people up in arms, worried that they're coming for our abortions. They're coming for our abortions. I'll tell you what, they're not gonna stop until they go inside each and every one of a God-fearing white middle American family, upholding family values, and the government's gonna come in and take our abortions. That's what's gonna happen. Can you believe this? I just feel like I'm transitioning. I'm a transition from that accent into something like a little more interesting. Like you tell me they gonna come in here, take all. I'm feeling very inspired with the voices for some reason. You gotta mix it up. You gotta keep it fresh. You gotta keep it silly. And even if it sounds like something pretty dramatic is about to happen, it's not. Shit happens very slow. Have you seen some of the people in charge of making things happen? Why has every president been fucking 102, it seems like, except for Obama? And Obama went in looking 37 and came out looking 75. And you only got 100 years to live. Shout out 5 for fighting. I guarantee you will not find a shout out like that anywhere else on any other podcast. I guarantee you will not find that nuanced, a deep cut being presented specifically so advertisers will notice what I'm doing, and because they've been, targeting data more recently so they can really hone in on who their demographic is and more successfully lead to conversions, I am here to do that. I am here to help companies sell CBD, make-at-home meal kits, and specific underwear that was started by a company of veterans who also drank coffee in Afghanistan with Chris Kyle. I'm here to help all them peddle shit to you guys. That's what I want to do. I want to do all of that. So when I say Elon Musk is an alien, take my word for it and buy the fucking CBD or whatever. And when I say they're coming for your abortions, just, react to that however you would feel. I'm not here to touch abortion. That would be hilarious if I just stopped the topic there and I just transitioned to something like, Jack Sparrow getting poop in his bed. The Black Pearl, Dead Man Walking, various other pirate puns that are probably owned by Disney now. The point is, Johnny Depp caught a poop in his bed. How about that for the wannabe European? I can't think of maybe anything more European than, poop being involved in a sexual way. I mean, try and describe Germany to somebody without them knowing what Germany is. The way I would go about such a task would be, these are a group of people that manufacture and sell to the same group of people within the same country, German shitting tables. A table in which it is clear and someone can watch another person poop, who is another European. Johnny Depp is probably the American who most wants to be a European based on the amount of bracelets on any appendage of his body. And Johnny Depp is an easy target for most jokes because look at him. Look at his face, his hat, his glasses, and every other part of him that makes him him, and every accessory thereafter. Look at it and try not to laugh. But he is a victim of domestic abuse, and it's a shame, and it should be pointed out. The swashbuckling poop pirate is a victim of Me Too. Amber Heard must have some fire pussy because what the fuck has she been able to do? There's tapes of her going crazy. And don't worry, we're going to touch on abortion more, but let's have a little fun. Let's talk about something much more important that Disney owns, probably. Amber Heard, who used to be with Elon Musk, who is an alien, which means she potentially alien or just crazy. But the point is, she seduced Elon Musk, who is literally a robot, I guess. And then transitioned to Johnny Depp, who is a European vampire in a band with aging heroin rock stars. Long story short, regardless of how awful Johnny Depp is, regardless of the fact he would spend $50,000 a month on red wine, own 38 houses, move to Paris and pretend to adopt an accent, wear really weird hats, generally just the fact that he participated in Sweeney Todd. A lot of reasons to hate the guy exist, but the fact remains he got attacked and someone pooped in his bed. Not okay. Put yourself in his bed and wake up and find poop. How do you feel now? There is no amount of money, no amount of fanfare, no just miraculously above quality a Pirates of the Caribbean script that can make you forget the fact you woke up to a poop in your bed. You just can't. You just can't. So congratulations, Johnny Depp, you're officially European. That wish has been fulfilled in the form of poop on your bed. You caught a poop in the bed, but this is no laughing matter. Seriously. Domestic abuse is real, and it happens, and Johnny Depp is a victim of it, and somehow Amber Heard is very good at it. She is incredible at it. She has domestic abused some of men's most, some of history's most successful and influential men. I mean, what is she doing? What is she capable of? She's on some Bill Cosby historic numbers of shit. There are not a lot of people in the entertainment business throwing them up and putting them down in the way that Amber Heard and both Bill Cosby did. Dr. Bill Cosby, that is. And Dr. Amber Heard, that is. I don't care if that is not true at all. Amber Heard is a doctor. At least a psychologist, because psychology is not real. Psychology is a field of study that exists so girls in sororities have a reason to attend college. There, I said it, it's been said. If Amber Heard went to college, which she probably just didn't if she's pooping in beds, to be honest with you. But if she did go to college, I guarantee you Amber Heard majored in psychology. the field of made-up science where a guy named Freud married his cousin and thought everything in life was indeed a fact a dick. It wasn't. Sometimes it's just a cigar. Sometimes it's just a poop in your bed. Sometimes you are a victim of domestic abuse too. So, unfortunately, we should all be on Johnny Depp's side, and hopefully Orlando Bloom finally comes back to the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Because word on the street is he has been manipulating Amber Heard's actions as a strategic negotiation tactic with Disney to come back for Pirates of the Caribbean 7, where they will then do a crossover with the Fast and Furious franchise. Back to abortion rights. How about that for a transition? So with the leak of the opinion on Roe v. Wade written by Supreme Court Justice Alito, a lot of people, it's become clear to me, have taken the time to not take the time to read. I don't know if that's because most people can't. That's fair. That's possible. Dyslexia keeps going up with the way people keep I don't know how dyslexia happens. Does anyone? And the people studying it are probably dyslexic themselves, because who cares if you can't read that good? Move on. You don't get to vote would be my next point, because you're being too reactionary. If you've taken the time, and maybe I'm wrong, and if I am wrong, allow me to offer a preemptive apology. Maybe I am behind the 8 ball and everyone has read the 81-page opinion from Supreme Court Justice Alito on the draft. The draft, we should all emphasize, not the draft that may happen because of Russia and Joe Biden and us having a chief of disinformation. The draft of an opinion on Roe v. Wade. And a draft, again, if you are dyslexic, a draft is something that means it's not done. This is not the finished product. This is, in fact, a work in progress, which means you can't judge this as what will happen. That being said, it sure as fuck did seem pretty thought out and thorough. Now, if you're one of the last remaining people who have not expressed an opinion on this and have not read all 81 pages of it, allow me to briefly summarize this for you just to bring you up to speed with the rest of us dyslexic idiots. So, the argument and what it appears to be leaning towards and what may happen when you hear headlines that say Roe v. Wade will be overturned is not exactly that. That is a tad bit salacious. It's a little bit of yellow journalism. I don't know if you're allowed to say that post-COVID era. Irregardless of the fact, Roe v. Wade is not a law. It's a decision that has become established law. And there's a huge, huge difference. A difference so large that it can only be described as the size of your mother. A difference so vast, in fact, that it is what separates Napoleonic law from the other, more modern, precedent-based laws we have here in a place, in a country that doesn't have a king. Except, of course, for Louisiana notwithstanding, for some fucking reason. And to point out why that's not working. You can't have a country that's decided we're going to have a precedent-based law system, but we're going to allow one state, Louisiana, to still, for some fucking reason, unbeknownst to anybody not on the take, they use Napoleonic law still, literally, which is some French shit for no reason whatsoever. But the important highlights of that quickly just mean that law there is interpretive. It's up to whoever is in the position of authority at the time to interpret whatever law supposedly, allegedly has been broken, which obviously can lead to some corruption and, the Yellow King kidnapping children through an orphanage adoption. Or whatever happened in True Detective Season 1. In True Detective Season 2, we all should have just turned it off. In True Detective Season 3, we were looking into crimes of drug trafficking in Arkansas, which is really ballsy from the guy, if you don't want to get killed by the Clintons, just saying allegedly that wasn't me. So, back to the abortion thing. The opinion that Scalia is dead, God rest his soul, cuz. God rest his soul, he was a true American, Scalia, he was. But anyway, the opinion that has leaked in regards to Roe v. Wade is this. It's essentially saying that the outcome of Roe v. Wade and that we've all misinterpreted as a law, as a constitutional law, is in fact not true. Erroneous on all fronts, to quote Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers. The fact of the matter remains. Abortion is not a constitutional right, and it was never a law that was presented by a member of Congress, which is someone, of course, in the legislative branch of government, and it was not ratified and voted by other members of Congress, i.e. the legislative branch of government. Because once that would happen, it would then go to the executive branch of government, which is, of course, the president, who is, of course, dead. But he is still able to sign things somehow, in which case he would sign it into a law. And it would then, this whole process takes a while, about 7 years, for a fucking reason, because it shouldn't be easy to just have laws changed with a whim. That's, of course, how you get the Yellow King in Louisiana or anyone who pretends to wear a crown and be the Duchess of fucking anywhere. Big problem. But instead, the opinion that Alito is presenting and what seems to be the consensus within the Supreme Court is that abortion was erroneously, misguidedly, and misunderstood based on the decision of Roe v. Wade to be a law endowed by everyone's creator and an inalienable right. That's some bullshit, homie. That ain't what it is. Irregardless of its shady history and Margaret Sanger saying eugenics is a good idea and being friends with Albert Pike, who was a 33-degree Mason, a KKK member, and a 33-degree Mason again. Irregardless of all the history of abortion and that, and maybe it was, created to systematically destroy a black family, who knows, sweet brother, I'm just saying. But the Supreme Court seems to be saying in what was leaked, we think this decision was wrong. It was an activist court in the 70s. I think it was 71 when it happened. What in fact should have happened is this is a decision, and this is a federalist approach. To give you some real history words and shit. This is an issue that should be left up to the states. And a lot of times, to me at least, even though that feels like academically and scholastically the best way to handle a lot of problems, because also it's important to remember we're not a fucking country. And I know that's crazy, but it's true. We're a republic. We are the United States of America. United States. We are a collection of states, a city-state, that goes back to ancient Greece and shit all the way up to now and shit, that is united under something. We're a republic. We're a bunch of small countries agreeing to call ourselves something else, which is a strategically good move, dope shit. But some occupational hazards of us all agreeing to that shit are some of these little small countries we call states are going to have some wild disagreements. Some people in Idaho are going to think we only need 2 bathrooms. Some people in California are going to think we should terminate an already born child because it would just be too much time and hassle and work, and how are we going to find a nanny? There are some differences of opinions. There are some people who think gay people shouldn't get married in some states, and there are some people who think if I am ever asked to bake a cake for a gay wedding, I will shoot up an abortion clinic. These are all people that exist and have real differences, but the important thing to remember is there's good people on both sides. Those emails are taking our jobs. But in all seriousness, the opinion leaked from the Supreme Court seems to be saying that the opinion of Roe v. Wade was a little activisty, and it probably was misinterpreted by everybody, and it certainly was never an actual law. It never became a law. Abortion is not a right. It could be, and a way for it to become a right, if anyone, and this reminds me of a song that me and Tim Dillon remember called I'm Just a Bill. And I'm just a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Why don't you abortion or whatever? But the way to pass a law is Congress, someone in it, presents one. That's why we elect them, if you know about how any of this works. And that congressman or congresswoman would present the law, and everyone in Congress would vote on it. And then from there, it would then be, if it passed, would go to the other executive branch of government, signed into a law. And if any other state were to have issue with any of these laws, let's just take abortion since it happens to be in the news, maybe. If any state would have issue with this law, in which case right now one actually happens to, because one state has always had an issue with this since it was decided the first time, which was another point made in the opinion that this isn't even an established law, because an established law is something the consensus all of us universally have come to accept as what should be. Abortion has never been that by any logical explanation or defense at all. Even the most leftist person most in support of abortion, even if you were a governor of Virginia and they had pictures of you in blackface secretly that they were using to blackmail, even if you were that far left on the abortion topic, you would not be able to argue that there has ever been a period of time post Roe v. Wade where the issue of abortion was unanimous. It has never been unanimous ever, one way or the other. So that's just one. So right out of the gate, the argument that this is an established law because it just kind of has become one is so not true. That would be like me saying your mom is in good shape, or me saying Edward Snowden is not a Russian spy, or me saying Elon Musk did not invent Bitcoin and he's an alien. Those things are absurd. Obviously, that would never happen. So there has never been a point in time where abortion was unanimously agreed on. Right out of the gate, to me at least, regardless of how I personally feel on the topic, which you may have caught on to the fact I haven't even presented, because I believe in traditional manners, folks, polite manners. In good present company, you do not discuss religion and politics, and yet I'm out here saying some wild shit. But if you would have the court reporter read it back, you will have seen that I adhered to traditional polite manners. Because that can be done. You can learn to work within them. If you want to say some crazy shit and act up and get wild, you can still exist within the traditional rules that make everything work real good, fuckface. Just read a little bit. Think before you do. Think before you speak. Read before you speak. Learn to read, and if you're dyslexic, bow out. Sorry. What can we do? If you can't read, listen, if the issue is everyone's not reading the whole article, they're just reading headlines, and the issues that are being presented in these articles are becoming increasingly more controversial and galvanizing, maybe if we have a group of people who medically already might, misread some of the words here, and everyone is just ready to whip themselves up in a frenzy, maybe we should do something about the group of people that have already said we might read something wrong and there's nothing we can do about it. I'm just saying. Slippery slopes are slippery. But to the point, with this leak of the opinion of the Supreme Court in Roe v. Wade, no one's coming for your abortions. No one's coming knocking down your door, taking your abortions when you're a tax-paying, God-fearing American who has a goddamn right that our Supreme Court, occupied by not Dan Brown, that's ridiculous, occupied by Judge Joe Brown, Judge Judy, and as of late, Judge Steve Harvey. That's real for some reason. I can't even believe it myself. No one's coming for your abortion that way. In fact, a lot of states like California, New York, Illinois, they've already preemptively said if anything were to happen to Roe v. Wade and it be overturned, we will then enact laws the way states are allowed to, because we are not a country, we're a republic, to protect abortion, to enact it, to actually make it a right within the state. In fact, some of those abortion rights might be more substantial than what was already available. So why the fuck are half of you even mad? Is it because you didn't read the whole thing? Is it because you didn't take the time to read the whole 81-page motherfucking snoozer of an opinion? I didn't. I read the first 6. I shall admit that. And if I'm being honest, I feel at this point a lawyer based on how qualified I am to discuss this, because I've read 6 pages of an 81-page thing. There are people who are really working hard and ready to fight the good fight and are really going to AC Moore to get puffy paint to make signs and shit to march in the streets because they haven't read a single fucking page. I'm assuming, or again, maybe I'm wrong, you've read all 81 pages and that's just how you feel. I would be surprised by that because it is very difficult. In fact, I've never been inspired by anything enough to want to make a sign and go march in the streets, because parades are dumb. If you like going to parades, you're dumb. If you like fireworks a lot, you're dumb. These things parades move and fireworks go boom, and you've seen them. Why do you keep going? I think people are dumb, and dumb people like parades. And when it's not St. Patrick's Day or Puerto Rican Appreciation Month, you need another reason to have a parade, I guess. And it seems like the newest reason for people to have a parade is a Supreme Court opinion, which in a way is almost good. I'm glad people are getting that riled up about the civic process. In another sense, I think it is important people learn about the civic process, maybe. Might help, might make this a little less chaotic. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, Nothing's really even over fucking turned if that happens. It's already the wrong fucking language. Roe v. Wade was a case presented to the Supreme Court. And this is why it's so fucking bad that we even had a leak in the first place. And don't get me wrong, I love leaks. Leaks are my shit. I grew up in Staten Island. My father was a plumber. Leaks meant it was a good Christmas at the house of the plumber. So I would go around to all my friends' houses and I would just break the fucking sockets. It's what I did, it's what I do, tough guy. I like leaks. I like leaks a lot. I even like some of Edward Snowden leaks, his earlier shit before he, became a Russian spy. Point is, we can't have a leak with the Supreme Court for one reason and one reason alone. The Supreme Court needs to be infallible. In fact, the word Supreme's in it, and it ain't just a brand that sells bricks and t-shirts. Supreme actually truly means it's one of those words that is like there is nothing above. That, in fact, the definition is there ain't shit above it. It is on top. It is supreme. If we're going to have leaks in the Supreme Court, the fundamental integrity of it just gets bent over a barrel and shown the 50 states, if you know what I mean. I can't believe I found a way for that expression to actually be relevant, more than the horrible bosses script could. If leaks happen continuously and we set this precedent in the Supreme Court, we will then create an environment where the justices will not be able to discuss and debate topics freely with one another. They will not trust one another. The Supreme Court will become yet another politicized, gross, dirty, unuseful, antiquated piece of government bullshit like the executive and legislative branch, apparently. And it is so, honestly, man, the Supreme Court, that third branch of fucking government, the judicial branch, I think, is what keeps this whole ship a-sailing. Because congressmen and women are people elected who just do whatever the fuck will keep them elected. Presidents are just people who probably used to be congressmen who have that background and now just want to keep getting elected. The Supreme Court are people placed there for more or less some political reason, sure, but they're still judges, they're still lawyers, they're still people who at their core, objectively, don't give a fuck about your emotional feelings on the matter. They're going to debate what is right, find out the core of what should be, pull the fuck off in a Mercedes, and that's just what it is, cuz. Those people are appointed, and they hold those jobs until they die. They live through presidents. They live through eras. They have that job longer than some people's grandparents live on Earth. These people need to be able to think and discuss freely. It's kind of ironic to me that we have a Supreme Court which is so fundamentally important, and it's basically a council of elders. It is some Narnia old world shit. It's the oldest people who've seen the most shit discussing based on their experience, based on legal precedent, meaning what has happened, what should continue to happen, and what is correct. And they run all of that against the Constitution. And the Constitution are the rules, and the Supreme Court justices are the people who play the game. And they are the most qualified to do so. But if we start leaking shit, if we start jeopardizing the integrity of the motherfucking game, we lose the rules. We lose everything, honestly. And then it just becomes every other gross part of our government. It becomes every other gross part of our government, which is similar to every other country's gross government entirely. The Supreme Court is kind of unique, so we can't have it leak. And you fucks need to not be so worried that you're about to lose your abortion rights to the point where this shit will continue to happen with other issues. If this opinion goes on to overturn Roe v. Wade, all that will mean in actuality, in reality, is that the states will be allowed to decide if abortions are allowed or not. Most states, a lot of states have already said they will or they will not. Some states have definitely said they will. And I guarantee you there is a correlation between people up in arms at AC Moore buying puffy paint ready to take over the streets like Che Guevara over an abortion are probably already in states that have already said we're going to continue to allow it. The fuck you doing, bruh? I is sure that is not to discredit situations where there are people in Mississippi who want an abortion. I guarantee you Mississippi will not allow you to have one. But I will say this, drive to fucking Georgia. Georgia's a swing state. Maybe they'll work something out. But get a fucking Greyhound. I don't know. If you're in Mississippi scrambling, figuring out how do I get an abortion, you've probably made a few other poor decisions prior. Is that wrong? Absolutely not. Is that harsh? Sure. But again, is that wrong? Absolutely not. buy a fucking Greyhound ticket and take your bitch ass up to Virginia. They have a governor who they had pictures of him in blackface that they released after he accidentally said, we'll keep baby alive after we deliver him, then we'll terminate pregnancy. So you can still, there's always Greyhound is the moral of that. What is important, and abortion is probably the apex lightning rod issue. But believe it or not, in this context, abortion's not the issue. If you want one, probably you're going to be able to still get one. Or you'll be able to buy a bus ticket. That's something that's what it is. That should be your slogan. Point is, the bigger issue is the Supreme Court is looking leaky, cousin. The Supreme Court got to call a plumber. Not good at all. This sounds like a job for the chief of disinformation, which is a real job now in America. Did you know that shit? Did you know that shit? We have a chief of disinformation now in America. And the chief of disinformation is a fine young lady by the name of Nina Jankowicz. And Nina Jankowicz is occupying the position of chief of disinformation. If you can believe it or not, that's a real thing. We have a minister of fucking truth now. But some highlights from Nina Jankowicz include the fact she attended Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania, actually. And Bryn Mawr College is a weird culty college of people who were pre-Mormons. They are early ancestor Mormons. Can you think of that for a second? But to add to that ditty, while at Bryn Mawr, Nina double majored in Russian and political science. She also attended a semester at Herzl State Pedagogical University in Russia and graduated in 2017. She was also a Fulbright Fellow in Kiev, working with the Foreign Ministry of the Ukraine. That is, of course, the chief of disinformation currently here in the United States. I think that lady has some work to do. I think that comrade should roll up her sleeves and figure out who's leaking shit from the Supreme Court. Because I hate to play the blame game, but in times like, now where Putin is, trying to, blow up the world, I tend to lean towards any shit that's happening that's not good and breeding chaos is probably of a Ruski origin. So Nina Jankowicz, Chief Disinformation Officer of America, who studied in the Ukraine and Russia and graduated from ancient Mormon college, you need to do something right now, because if this ain't a job for someone with those qualifications, I do not know what is, comrade. So I say all of this, and I hope you hear it. I hope you relax. I hope you take some information in. And what you take from it is that maybe when you take other information in, you take a moment with it. After you take it in, you sit with it. You ponder, you pontificate. Because no one's coming for your abortions. In fact, the Supreme Court, based on the 81-page opinion that I know all of you read because you're all offering opinions, is actually pretty measured. It's pretty scholastically, academically, civically, governmentally in line with how America was set up. It is pretty federalist. It is in line with the fact that we are a republic. It does sound like, at least to me, if there's an issue that is too hot button for all of us to get behind federally, and that's what federally kind of means, all of us collectively, the duties and obligations that we have because we're part of the America part of the United States of America. If an issue is too over the board, too dicey, too hot potato for anyone to get all on board with, then it probably should be left up to the states, because that's a smaller group of people. That's a group of people that probably knows each other a little bit better, probably share a more common way of life. That's how cultures work. There's some people who argue, and of course they're psychologists, so that information might not be valid at all entirely, but some psychologists argue you can only really know about 150 people. That's who you're pretty much able to keep in your head. Anything past that, they're just faces. So that might be the point. That might be the problem. So if an issue like abortion is too hot button, it should be left up to states to decide, because that's a smaller group of people. So the odds that the issue might become more unanimous in that territory, at least, are much higher. And if you're freaking out thinking they're going to... First of all, how many abortions are people getting? Now, I know there's people who wear I Heart Abortion t-shirts from Urban Outfitters, but that guy's secretly a Republican and he doesn't give a shit about Coachella. But how many abortions are people actually having? Enough to go to AC Moore and buy puffy paint and make a sign. I didn't think this was like every other week. And if you have an abortion, it was, probably not the best series of choices led to that. You're not lost forever as a person eternally. Your soul is not damned to hellfire either. There is a middle ground, but that's because there always is. But less and less people are willing to see one or find one. In fact, it's become clear to me most people have much more interest in ignoring the fact that one could exist entirely because it is not that interesting. But the hottest take of all might be a more moderate approach. Because everyone is so controversial, the hottest, most out there opinion is probably one that combines a little bit of both sides, baby. How about that, you motherfucker? How about you come outside and teach me a lesson, tough guy? In my ass. You think you could beat my ass? The answer is a little bit of both. How about that? How about instead of everyone clearly reading an 81-page opinion from the Supreme Court and getting themselves so worked up, freaking out, starting hashtags, taking to the streets, dyeing their hair a new color, how about doing all that? How about instead you worry about some more trivial shit like the fact, Jack Sparrow had a poop in his bed? Talk about that. I was planning on actually talking about a different, more serious topic with Canada, the country whose president is a little black-faced twink on Halloween a couple times a year, even though Halloween only happens once a year. Washanje Kwalu, that's a clue. Canada, I read an article in which they have made euthanasia pretty fucking available. And there has been a lot of anecdotal stories, and the Canadian government being kind of okay with the fact a lot of people are deciding to just euthanize themselves because shit is getting too expensive. If you think I'm making it up, look this up for yourself. I am not. I was going to talk about that because I thought that shit was crazy. Times are so tough in Canada that the great healthcare system that everyone raves about has decided it's most cost effective for you to just go kill yourself medically. But people are so up in arms because everyone decided to read an 81-page Supreme Court opinion, a draft of one no less, that I have no choice but to talk about this. So talk about this I did. Poop in a bed Amber Heard did as well. I hope she pooped in Elon's bed. That's really... If one thing can be true in all of this, it's that Elon Musk at one point also had poop in his bed. And that the chief of disinformation, Nina Jankowicz, who studied at Ancient Mormon College and Russia and Kyiv, is on the case and will get to the bottom of who is leaking information from the Supreme Court, and is it in fact part of a disinformation campaign designed to breed chaos, because Russia and the United States have a history of that happening sometimes. But above all of those other things, it is important to remember we need to have a conversation about what to do with dyslexic people.